Hey everybody. My wife and I recently visited Boston, Massachusetts for a few days, and one thing that most people want to see while they're there is the Freedom Trail and the stops along it. So we did this as well. We took the advice of some other people on YouTube that said you might want to break up your Freedom Trail walk into multiple days if you're there for a period of time that could accommodate that. So, in our first day of visiting Freedom Trail sites, we started at the starting point and we went as far as Faneuil Hall. So, we'll put that in this first video and then we'll catch most of the other spots on the Freedom Trail in later ones. We hope you enjoy.
Stop number 1. Boston Common. America's oldest public park, the Boston Common, began as a common grazing ground for sheep and cattle. Eccentric Anglican William Blackstone settled on Beacon Hill with only his books for company in 1622. In 1630, Puritans from Charlestown joined him to share the area's potable springs, but by 1635, Blackstone bristled at the increased population, sold his property to the townspeople of Boston, and moved to roomy Rhode Island to satisfy his reclusive nature. Each household was assessed 6 shillings for the purchase of the 44 acres of open land. It was held in common by the people and used as a pasture. The common later became a training field for the militia and was utilized as a British Army camp during the occupation of Boston. The common's varied uses also included a place to hang pirates and witches and publicly pillory criminals. It has also served a higher purpose as a place for public oratory and discourse. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. spoke here, Pope John Paul II said Mass here, and Gloria Steinem advanced the feminist revolution on these grounds. Today, visitors to the Common may enjoy a concert, a performance of Shakespeare, or a simple, calm respite from the bustle of city life. Stop number 2. Massachusetts State House. Designed by Charles Bulfinch, the new State House was completed on January 11, 1798. Its golden dome was once made of wood and later overlaid with copper by Paul Revere. It was covered with 23-karat gold leaf for the first time in 1874. The land for the State House was originally used as John Hancock's cow pasture. Today, the State House is one of the oldest buildings on Beacon Hill, and its grounds cover 6.7 acres of land. It is under the Golden Dome that senators, state representatives, and the governor conduct the daily business of the Commonwealth. This is sometimes open to the public. Stop number 3. Park Street Church, 1 Park Street. The 217-foot steeple of this church was once the first landmark travelers saw when approaching Boston. Its lofty architecture, designed by Peter Banner, reflects an even loftier mission of human rights and social justice. Prison reform began in this church. Women's suffrage was strongly supported here, and some of the first and most impassioned protests against slavery were delivered inside these hallowed walls. This church was founded in 1809. The site of Park Street Church is known as Brimstone Corner, perhaps because the church building once housed brimstone, a component of gunpowder, in its basement during the War of 1812. Or maybe it's because old-school ministers delivered many hellfire and brimstone sermons here. America, My Country 'Tis of Thee, by Samuel Francis Smith, was first sung at Park Street Church on July 4, 1831. Many important organizations were founded here, including the Boston branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Animal Rescue League of Boston, Handel and Hayden Society, and National Association of Evangelicals. Sometimes open to the public. Stop number 4. Granary Burying Ground. Some of America's most notable citizens rest here. An elaborately embellished obelisk marks the site of John Hancock's tomb. Benjamin Franklin's parents, along with Revolutionary heroes such as Paul Revere, Samuel Adams, James Otis, all 5 of the Boston Massacre victims, and Peter Faneuil, are also buried here. There is a discrepancy between the number of headstones and people buried in the granary. Although there are only 2,345 markers, it is estimated that at least 5,000 people are buried here. Over 400 children have been buried in the infant's tomb. Since headstones were expensive, it was common to put several members of one family under one headstone with one name on it. There may be several possible explanations why groundskeepers arranged the stones in neat rows. To facilitate maintenance, shape the grounds more into a mold of the new trendy garden-style cemetery, or encourage people to stroll in the site instead of having sheep grazing on the unorganized, old-looking burying ground. Stop number 5. King's Chapel and Burying Ground. Founded as New England's first Anglican church in 1686, King's Chapel offers visitors more than 330 years of history through self-guided exploration, guided tours, talks, and special programs. From the earliest English arrivals through the Revolution and the story of slavery in Boston to the present day, King's Chapel explores the roles of religion, tolerance, and justice in American history. The 1754 stone chapel, on the site of the original 1688 wooden chapel, is considered the finest example of Georgian neoclassical architecture in North America. It contains original box pews, a 1717 wineglass pulpit, an 1816 Paul Revere bell that still rings today, a governor's pew where George Washington sat, and one of the few colonial crypts in the United States. Its congregation experienced many events of the Revolutionary War firsthand. After the Revolution, King's Chapel became, under the ministry of James Freeman, the country's first Christian Unitarian church, still active today. King's Chapel Burying Ground was the only burying place for nearly 30 years in Boston proper. John Winthrop, Massachusetts' first governor, and Mary Chilton, the first woman to step off the Mayflower, are buried here. Joseph Tapping's stone in the front of the burying ground, a skeleton and Father Time battling over the eventuality of death, may be Boston's most beautiful headstone. Both are often open to the public. Stop number 6. Boston Latin School site Benjamin Franklin, America's first public school, offered instruction to boys, rich or poor, free of charge. Girls were limited to what they were taught at home. The boys-only tradition finally ended in 1972 when girls were permitted to attend Boston Latin. It is fabled that on April 19, 1775, word of shots fired in Lexington circulated rapidly throughout Boston with "Close your books, school's done, and war's begun." A mosaic marks the spot where the school once stood and where one of its most famous students, Benjamin Franklin, attended classes not long before he dropped out of school. Boston Latin School is still in operation in the Faneuil neighborhood of Boston. Stop number 7, Old Corner Bookstore. Constructed in 1718, the Old Corner Bookstore is downtown Boston's oldest commercial building. Over its 300-year existence, the building has been a residence, an apothecary, a cigar emporium, a tailor shop, and a pizza parlor. However, it is most renowned for its place in American literary history, as home to the 19th century publishing giant Ticknor and Fields. From 1832 until 1865, Ticknor and Fields produced dozens of great American authors and their works, including Thoreau's Walden, Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter, Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's poetry, including The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere, and The Atlantic Monthly, in which many notable works, such as Julie Ward Howe's Battle Hymn of the Republic, were first released. Local leaders formed Historic Boston, Inc. in 1960 to purchase and save the building from planned demolition. Today, the building continues as a place of commerce, and proceeds from its leases help Historic Boston restore similar buildings throughout Boston. Stop number 8, Old South Meeting House, the Body of the People, in Boston. Built in 1729 as a Puritan house of worship, the Old South Meeting House was the largest building in colonial Boston. Its size and central location made it the site of the most dramatic and stirring mass meetings leading to the American Revolution, from outraged protests following the Boston Massacre to the night of December 16, 1773, when 5,000 colonists, a third of the population of Boston, gathered here to protest British policies. When compromise failed, the Sons of Liberty marched down to Griffin's Wharf to dump 342 chests of tea into Boston Harbor. As a church, Old South Meeting House was the spiritual home to Bostonians from all walks of life, from political leaders like Samuel Adams to artists like Phyllis Wheatley, an enslaved poet who became the first African-American woman to publish a book of poetry. Today, it continues its legacy of the free exchange of ideas as one of the historical sites under the care of Revolutionary Spaces, presenting exhibits, tours, panels, and performances that connect people to our shared history. Stop number 9. Old State House, seat of power in colonial Boston. Built in 1713, the Old State House was where the royal governor and his advisors served as direct representatives of the king's rule. In the years leading to the Revolution, the building was the center for passionate debate as Boston patriots, including Samuel Adams, John Hancock, and James Otis Jr., fomented the spirit of rebellion and asked the essential questions of self-government that we still grapple with today. In 1770, directly outside the Old State House, soldiers opened fire on a crowd of unarmed protesters in the incident known as the Boston Massacre. And when the people of Boston first heard the Declaration of Independence in July of 1776, it was read from the Old State House balcony. After the Revolution, the ideals of that document were tested here as women, indigenous people, African Americans, and propertyless citizens petitioned for their rights in the face of disenfranchisement. Today, the Old State House is one of the sites under the care of Revolutionary Spaces and presents exhibits, tours, panels, and performances that invite all people to join in the fundamental debates at the heart of American life. Stop number 10. Boston Massacre. Site: on March 5, 1770, at this site, a deadly skirmish erupted between 9 British redcoats and a large crowd of Boston residents. Angry over the town's occupation by British forces, local toughs threw snowballs, rocks, and hard words at a lone sentry outside the nearby custom house. The sentry was reinforced, the crowd became a mob, and the soldiers opened fire, fatally wounding 5 Bostonians. What British officials called the unhappy disturbance at Boston, Paul Revere labeled a bloody massacre. His widely circulated illustration of the event was a model of propaganda and did much to stir up anti-British sentiment in the colonies. The British soldiers were tried for murder and were defended by John Adams, a young Boston lawyer who was as loyal to the idea of justice as he was to the patriot cause. Stop number 11. Faneuil Hall, often referred to as the home of free speech and the cradle of liberty, Faneuil Hall was one of America's first public meeting venues. Built by wealthy merchant Peter Faneuil in 1741, this imposing structure is the place where the citizens of Boston proclaimed their dissent against royal oppression. Faneuil Hall has served as an open forum meeting hall and marketplace for more than 270 years and has continued to provide a platform for debate on the most consequential issues of the day. The first floor served as a marketplace for the local townspeople to sell their goods. Today, Boston National Historical Park operates the Faneuil Hall Visitor Center, and the City of Boston holds naturalization ceremonies in the Great Hall on the second floor. Explore the Great Hall, where Bostonians protested the taxation policies of the British Empire and set the doctrine of no taxation without representation through talks and living history programs where visitors join in the debate.